Hello everyone, my name is Jessica. Tonight we are making a raw vegan chocolate pie. I'm gonna let everyone come on and then we'll get started. Hello everyone, welcome, happy Tuesday. Tonight we are making a raw vegan chocolate pie, super delicious and really easy. My name is Jessica Malazzo. I'm a integrative nutrition health coach and I do a lot of the healthier cooking demonstrations here with Mastic Mariches. So you only need a few ingredients with this recipe, and it might be one of your dessert staples because it's that easy and really a crowd pleaser. It also makes a large pie, so it's easy to bring to barbecues or parties, whatever it may be. And we're gonna go through the recipe now. I always post the recipe in the comments, so if you guys have any questions or concerns, just put them below. I try to answer comments as we go along, but if I forget anything, I always go back and will answer you. But the recipe will be posted in the comment section, so don't feel like you have to remember everything or write everything down. This video will also be saved to the library's Facebook page, so you could go back and rewatch it if you want. So this is raw vegan. There's no dairy in here, but it's really creamy. Our secret ingredient is going to be avocados. So we'll go through that as well. And then we're only using natural sugar. So the sugar is coming from dates. And then we're using some organic pure maple syrup as well. So like I said, only a few ingredients. Our crust is composed of 2 ingredients, and that's gonna be dates. And then I also have some walnuts. So I'm using raw walnuts, and you want to just make sure that any nut that you're getting, there's no added oil, there's no added salt to it. So you really would just want to make sure that you get raw walnuts. This also works really well with almonds, or if you wanted to do pecans, you could do that as well. I really like the flavoring between the walnuts and the dates, but you use what works well for you. So I already have, and you need a food processor. Really that's the only aspect of this that you really need, or even like a blender, you could use this, or a magic bullet, whatever you have. I have my walnuts in a food processor, and you could see that I just broke them up a little bit. And now we're gonna add in the dates. So the dates here, you just wanna make sure to take out the pits. Nobody wants to eat a pit. So make sure that you de-pit them. Dates you could find anywhere. I really love them as a snack or even sometimes as a dessert. I eat them just like this, or adding a little peanut butter or almond butter tastes super delicious. So that's just another side treat that you can make for yourself. And Costco has them, pretty much anywhere has dates. So I just have a large bag like this, but we're doing about 1.5 cups of walnuts to 1.5 cups of dates. The dates it's gonna really help the crust stick together and create almost like a creamy texture. The crust is definitely going to be condensed, and we're gonna pat it down in the pie pan, so all this pie is gonna stay together. And again, we're not cooking anything, so perfect summer treat, because who wants to have the oven on when it's really hot? So I added the dates in here, and now we want to process them. They're going to take a little while to process, but we want to make sure that they're pureed and it's kind of like sticking together. So you want to make sure that the crust has that consistency, and I'll show you that it's sticking together. Sometimes we might have to add in a little water depending on if your dates are super dry. Also, some people will soak their dates in water first and then add them to the blender. So mine are pretty moist just from the bag, but I'm gonna see how it goes, and then I'll always add in like a tablespoon at a time of just some water. And I'm doing just a pinch of pink Himalayan salt. So you could use sea salt or another salt of your choice, but it's gonna be a little loud. We're just gonna blend this. So I'm going to stop it at this point to show you, but you'll notice as you process more, it's going to stick in kind of like a ball. So this is kind of like very coarse right now. It's not really sticking together. So I'm just going to process it some more until it's going to start clumping together. So you might have to scrape down the sides. And like I said, we might have to add in a little bit more water. So I'm going to process this again. And then in the meantime, I'm going to get my avocados ready. Point, you could see that it's starting to clump together, or maybe you can't see it because I didn't really have it in the screen, so I apologize for that. But it's starting to clump together, and it's a little dark. I don't know if you could see it well, but it's starting to clump together. So I'm just gonna again test it a little bit. Oh, you could see how nice, right? So this also too, if you wanted to kind of double the recipe, and I don't know if you've ever seen, but see how it sticks together. You can make some raw little date bites to have as a sweet treat or a snack during the day. So you could always kind of like double this. But my dough or my crust is holding well. So now we could pat it into our pie pan, and then we're gonna make the filling in the same food processor so we're not making a huge mess. And you saw I was just cutting open our avocados. Just of course, be careful when you're cutting them. We're using a total of 5. Sometimes it depends on obviously the size of your avocados. You might need more or less. And sometimes I have extra filling, and that's okay because it tastes completely delicious with just the filling. You don't even need the crust. So that is an option for you as well. So I'm just gonna move these avocados over here. So you could really use whatever pie dish you have. So I just want to make sure that you could see it. I just have a little like tart pan, and the bottom comes out. I find that this is very helpful because it is easier to get it out and it doesn't stick. I grease this with a little coconut oil. Another option for you would be to just use any type of other like pie pan or cake pan, and you could always use like a, I guess it's like a parchment paper so it doesn't stick. That's another great option, but I have never had an issue with it doing it this way. So that is just the reason why I choose to just grease it a little bit. So all of our filling, we're just gonna literally pour it in here. And your filling might change color depending on what type of nuts you use. So just something to think about. And you could also too add in some, we're going to use some cacao powder for the filling, but you could always add in some cacao powder into the crust as well, and that's super delicious. And then as your dates are really pureed, you're going to see that this is really easy to form a crust. So you're really just going to use your fingers to press it down. You want to make sure that you're firmly pressing it down. This way it's going to stick together. And you want to get a little crust on the side. My favorite part is when I go to parties, just getting people to guess what the filling is, because a lot of people will not guess that it's avocado. If you don't like avocado, it really doesn't have much of a flavor until you add in additional flavor to it. So I definitely suggest you giving this a try. And for the filling, we're adding in some maple syrup, some raw cacao powder. And this is also the perfect dessert to serve with some fresh berries on top. That's another great option. So you can see how easy that is. It's really pressing nicely. And it's about 1.5 cups of walnuts and 1.5 cups of dates. So really easy to remember. And like I said, you could always do more crust, and this way you could make those bites separately and just have them as a snack for you and your family. I love to make things where I'm eating them multiple times throughout the week, and I'm also not making a mess in the kitchen and having to clean everything a million times. So I am all for doing things in a simpler and easier way. And then this is not, of course, this is not going to be cooked. It's all completely raw. But we are going to pop it in the freezer right after this, and it's going to allow it to chill really nicely. You could always keep it in the fridge. And then something to note is if you are a smaller crowd, or maybe it's just the two of you or just yourself, what I did is that I cut it after it's set in the freezer, and then I put it in, you could put it in separate parchment papers, or I kind of just have like glass containers, and I put each slice in a glass container, popped it in my freezer, and this way anytime I wanted a piece of pie, I was able to just take it out, like, I don't know, a half hour or an hour or so, and let it sit and then eat it. So you're not eating the pie maybe in all in one day. All right, so that is our crust. Super simple, right? 2 ingredients. You could add in some cacao powder if you want. That will also make your crust more chocolatey. Is that a word? Chocolatey? Probably not. Okay. So I think we're done. Of course, it's going to also depend on how big your pan is, and it will depend on how thick your crust is. So I'm just going to put this aside. I'm going to bring back my food processor. No need to clean it. Hello. Someone was just saying hi, welcome. So no need to clean the food processor. Let's make this easy. So my name is Jessica Milazzo. Someone's just asking who I am. Some of you might have seen me, hopefully, around. I do all of the healthier cooking demonstrations. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach, and I like to show people that eating healthy is super easy, it's delicious, and it can be also cost effective. All right, so we're opening up our 5 avocados. You can see I got lucky today. They're all ripe. Avocado is a great healthy fat. There's potassium in it. I love avocados and probably pretty much eat avocados every single day. So I have about 5 here. Again, it's going to depend on how large your avocados are. And something that I like to teach people, because avocados could be tricky, right? You know, it's like they're not ripe. We go to the store, they're not ripe at all. And then they're overripe and they're black and, you know, have black spots or whatever it is. So the way that I like to do, if I buy them unripe from the store. I let them sit on the counter with my other bananas and tomatoes, things like that, out on the counter. I let them get ripe, and then I put them in the refrigerator. So I have a lot of success with that. Also, something that you can do as well. So the tip, when there's kind of like the stem here, when it is ripe, it will easily come off. And then I'm not sure if you could see this. Probably not. It looks kind of dark. But this part where the stem was is going to be green. And then you know that it's ripe. So these ripened up the other day. I just kept them in the fridge. And I really find that when you put ripe avocados in the fridge, they last so much longer. So just something to keep in mind. I've also heard of people freezing avocados. I've not personally tried that, but that is definitely an option for you. But I typically will just like buy a bag of avocados at Lidl or Costco, something like that, and then let them ripe, put them in the fridge and get them ready, because you do need about 5 for this, which is a good amount of avocado. So we're just putting all of our avocados in the blender, and I'm just putting my blade back in there. Again, no need to clean the blender. And we're just scooping out the avocado. You just want to make sure that you get everything in. I've also made like a chocolate mousse with tofu. People use tofu in place of avocado. So if that is of interest to you, that could be another choice as well. So I'm just adding these all in. Again, you're not going to even taste the avocado, although I love avocado. Okay. And we're going to just break these up in the blender first. Also, be careful getting the pit out. You want to make sure you don't hurt yourself. So I will show you the best way to do it. So I got lucky today. And then sometimes, you know, you might not be lucky with avocados, and I had one the other day that it just wasn't getting ripe. And so I had parts of the avocado that were kind of smushy and the other were hard. So that happens as well. So you just want to take your knife and you just want to kind of move it around. Okay, so that's good. But again, be careful. Get your hands out of the way, because that one is not wanting to come out. Sometimes I use a bigger knife, but just put more pits in there. Stubborn pits. I have a bigger knife, but be careful. There we go. And then, like I said, our sweetener is going to be maple syrup. I love maple syrup, the flavoring of it. Again, it's a natural sugar, and you know, you could always use like a honey. You could use agave. I don't love agave, but that's just a preference. For me, sometimes like agave is too sweet, or I love the flavoring of maple syrup, but that's just a preference. So we're adding in the rest of our avocado. Someone's asking if I know Miss Kyle. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't know many people at the library, because since the pandemic, everything has been online. So I'm solely virtual right now. So you can see we have a full blender of avocado. And another note, if you're eating avocado yourself, but you only want half of it, I would leave the pit in the other half and then just kind of use like a saran wrap keep it in the fridge, that helps it stay or not brown. There's also some, some people might add lemon juice in it, so that's another option as well. Just kind of tips because I know avocados could be tricky sometimes. So I'm just gonna process this. Oh, I put this in. Okay. Whoops, put that in the sink when we weren't supposed to do that. So I'm just gonna process this a little bit. This way, we're chopping up the avocado. You might just have to move it around a little bit because obviously this is going to be quite a lot and quite thick. I also see that I forgot a piece of skin right there. One more piece of skin. Make sure you don't have the skin in there. It definitely won't taste great. So now we're going to add some liquid and our cacao powder because that's how it's going to be a raw vegan chocolate pie. So I have some raw cacao powder here. Cacao powder, so some people might ask, like, what's the difference between cacao powder versus cocoa powder? So cacao powder is the raw form of chocolate, so it's not processed, it's not heated, whereas cocoa powder is processed with heat. So cacao powder is said to have more nutrition in it. It's supposed to be higher in magnesium. So just some things to think about. But if you have cocoa powder, you could definitely use that. I love using cacao powder in my smoothies, obviously in this cake. So we're doing about 5 tablespoons. I'm just gonna add it in. You don't have to be exact because, in my opinion, the more chocolate, the better. And now for the liquid, it's going to be our maple syrup. So the maple syrup, I suggest to people that you start slowly and then you add more in. So I'm gonna start with a cup and I'm gonna taste it. Everybody's level of sweetness is going to be different, but I'm always cautioning myself, and even though it's natural sweetness or natural sugar, just making sure that I'm not overindulging on sugar. So if I can reduce it, I'm going to. So I'm gonna start with a cup and we're just gonna slowly add a little bit in, and then I'm gonna add the rest of it as I'm processing. A lot of filling, so you want to make sure that you cut up all the avocado, or just make sure that you process it. It might just take a few times of just scraping down the sides and mixing it, so this way you don't get large clumps of avocado, because it's not that it tastes bad, but I don't know, I guess to me it's just not as good. You want it to be almost like similar to a consistency of a mousse, or I guess a pudding. So we're gonna just add this, put this on again. Okay, so that's processing quite good. Again, we're just you don't want to see any green if you're trying to surprise guests as to what is in here. So we're going to process one more time. time. And then at this point, I would taste it. So again, you know, it's all about preference. You could add in some more cacao powder. You can add in some more sweetener. But again, just like challenging yourself, do you really need sweetener? Because also the crust has the dates and the natural sugar in it as well. So it's going to be sweet. It is so good. Oh my God, it's so good. If you could see like how thick it is, almost like a pudding. So again, I'm mixing this one more time. I'm not gonna add any more sweetener. This is a cup of pure maple syrup in here. So again, taste it, see what you think. And also too, like maybe who your crowd is. If someone is used to a lot of sugar, then maybe add in a cup and a quarter or a cup and a half. All right, so we have our crust here. I just like to put it on like a baking sheet because it's easier for me to then put in the freezer and have it set. You can, if you have more time, just keep it in the fridge. That's an option for you as well. And now we're gonna add our filling right on top. So like I said, this is a lot of filling and it depends on how large your avocados are. So you might have extra. You guys could see that. And the reason why we let it sit in the freezer, it's easier to work with. It's going to be easier to cut, and therefore you'll actually have pieces of pie. So something to just think about. And if you get like a piece of avocado, you could just even like take it out and just eat it on the side, or reblend it. That's an option for you as well. We're just smoothing it over, so that's it. I mean, really simple, only a few ingredients. My take on a healthier dessert, or in my opinion, a better for you dessert. So I'm going to add a little bit more. So, and for this I used pretty much all of it. Does anyone have any questions before we go? I'm gonna, like I said, I'll post this recipe right after this live. Also, the live will be on the page for Mastix Marich's Facebook page, so you could always rewatch it if you wanted to. But I will post a recipe, really simple and easy. Just cleaning my hands off. And here we go. We have a vegan chocolate pie. Like I said, I'm gonna pop this in the freezer for probably a couple hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. You know, just know if it's in the freezer for a little while or many hours or overnight, before you serve it, you probably will just let it thaw for a little bit, but super delicious, really easy. We only used a few ingredients and it tastes delicious. So let me know if you guys have any questions, but thank you so much for joining me tonight. I will go post this recipe right after, and yeah, let me know if you try it and enjoy the rest of your week. So see you guys soon. Bye-bye.